he kakanoa irui amai irangi atea and I will never be lost. I am a seed born of greatness, descended from.
My second myth comes from the Poverty Bay East Coast area. It's one of the countless number of stories which link New Zealand to Hawaii, the fatherland of the Maori people in East Polynesia. The story tells of two great albatrosses who carried the legendary Turanganui to Gisborne with his supply of kumara shoots for planting in that area. Even today, storytellers there would have you believing that this is the first recorded trans-Pacific air crossing by man. Just one of those many Maori firsts. Here is an outline of the story. Turanganui was a nurseryman, an agriculturalist sent from Hawaii to report on the climatic and geographical conditions of Aotearoa. Accompanied by his wife, Kaniowe, and others, he soon settled for Gisborne and the East Coast, and calculated by the growth of vegetation that spring was imminent. He returned in haste to Hawaii, there to report to his chief, Ruakapanga, who urged his immediate return with the kumara shoots to Aotearoa, lest he be too late for the planting season. To aid him, Ruakapanga gave him the loan of two giant birds, Harongarangi and Tiungarangi, to take him there swiftly. At the same time, he gave Poe strict instructions as to his route, the invocations and incantations that were necessary, and the care that must be lavished on the birds. When he bade him farewell, he entrusted to him Mamainuku and Mamairangi, his two sacred core or digging implements. Exalted by this honor and thrilled by the comfort and speed of his flight, Poe forgot all thought of the instructions and ritual incantations. Despite all this, he was carried safely and swiftly to his destination. However, on arrival, he neglected the birds shamefully, and when, too late, he remembered his instructions, he found the birds outside his house weeping tears of weariness and sorrow. Where they had been fondled and petted by their master Ruakapanga in Hawaii, they were now abused and neglected by Poe. His attempt to make amends being unsuccessful, he sent them off on their homeward journey. On their way, they were beset by Turanganui-a-kiwa and other sky-dwelling evildoers, so that when they eventually arrived home, their physical condition revealed to Rua the whole sorry tale of neglect. For this crime of Poe's, and for the tears that Harongarangi and Tiungarangi had shed, he caused the pests Anuhe, Mokoroa, and Mokopiti to attack the kumara. To this day, the kumara plant is still ravaged by these pests, caterpillars, grubs, and beetles every year. This is one of the many stories which pinpoints the Poverty Bay East Coast area as possibly the earliest big kumara growing area of New Zealand. It is one of many myths which reflect some of the values and norms of a society. The old-time Maoris were sticklers for doing everything the correct way in accordance with the values, observances, and teachings of their chiefs and priestly scholars. There was an accepted way, an established way, a correct way of doing things. They were sensitive to wrong ways of doing things. Half-hearted, careless attempts at carrying out instructions of importance were frowned upon because they tended to invite punishment and tragedy for man, which is the moral of our story. Notice that in myths, the old-time Maori blamed himself for virtually all the difficulties he experienced in his relationship with nature, clearly conceding nature's omnipotence. This is a conviction of the ancients that modern man can only disregard to his peril. This next story is the legend of Tama'ahua. It comes to us from the Ngāti Maru people of Hauraki round Thames.
Wiremu Parker, New Zealand's first Māori news broadcaster.
He was affectionately known as Bill Parker. Dad started reading the news in Māori. He was the first Māori broadcaster in the Second World War, and he continued that service every Sunday, 6 p.m. on the national program for 30-odd years.
Born and raised in Te Tairāwhiti, Bill was from Hiruharama. In 1942, he was appointed New Zealand's first Māori news broadcaster after recommendation from the Māori MPs. He narrated many of Māoridom's key moments in history, including the return of the Māori Battalion in 1946.
They are proud of their sons, noble sons of Maoriland. Proud to welcome home these remnants of that famous galaxy of youth, whose blood has been freely shed on the altar shrines of democracy.
He spent a lot of time at Parliament under the guidance and influence of Sir Apirana Ngata, and in 1950, when Apirana passed away, Wiremu gave the Poroporoaki on the radio.
Haere api, hoka hoka o parirau I runga I te tuara o tāwhiri mātea. Hei kawe a koe ki te toi o ngā rangi, ki tō tipuna ki a rehua.
Every Māori household throughout the country tuned in to those broadcasts. And he took his job very seriously. I think he was always a bit miffed that he got the same pay as everybody else when he actually had to translate his transcript, and everybody else just went in and read theirs straight.
He was a distinguished speaker and writer in both Māori and English. From 1964, he presented a weekly radio series, The Māori Program.
This is 1970, the beginning of a new decade and a whole new series of challenges and problems confronting the Maori people. We are much more prepared now to throw up our hands and protest against the establishment, or the government for that matter, if we are not happy with certain issues affecting our people.
Bill Parker, proud to be Māori.
Wairua.
He kura mā tauranga kua kōpakina mai ki tēnei pukapuka.
Kei te rata ngā whakaaro nā te mea, ko tāua ko te iwi Māori. Ngā tāngata whakakōrero I te pene, whakakōrero I te kamera, whakakōrero I te peita, I te rākau. Kei kona katoa, kei a tāua ngā tohungatanga mo e nei tūmomo mahi.
Ko words of a kau mātua te pukapuka hou ao Hare Williams he mea tuitui e witi hi mai rā. He pukapuka e hāngai ana ki ngā takahanga wai o te kau mātua nei I tōna wā.
But my daughter's body is God's temple in worship. E whakawhiti ana I ngā ao e rua. Te ao Pākehā, te ao Māori, me te ao kai waho atu rā. O tēnei pukapuka kai te whakawhiti e rā whakaaro, rite ana ki ngā mahi a te āniwaniwa, ngā mahi a kahukura, e takahi nei te whenua e whakawhiti nei te rangi nei. Ana, kia hau koe nei te pūtake o tēnei pukapuka.
He tau tohito ki ngā mahi toi ki te ao reo irirangi ki te ao mā tauranga anō hoki. He oi hei tāna me mihi te hunga nā rātau aia I whakaawe awe.
Kia Wiremu Parker mā, kia Wiremu Kerekere, e rā tāngata nā rātau I whakatakoto te mānuka, ana ko koura.
Turanganui-a-kiwa, Naiwie, kia kotaira, te moana nui-a-kiwa. Ia, ie. Ia, ie. Kia maura, ki te mana motu ake me te aroha. Kia maura, ki te mana motu ake me te aroha. Ia, ie.
troubled times. I see my people dressed with the raiment of battle, and I see the weeping, the wailing of my people. And for me, that has already happened. So I had to forget I was Eva Rickard. I had to put that right away out of my mind as a political activist, and be this other person that I really am. You know, if people judge me on my political activism, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother, I'm a great-grandaunt, and I'm a Māori woman. And I can feel and cry for my people. So my image as Eva Rickard doesn't bother me, but mind you, I had to push it back, except it's come out in one of the scenes in the Minister of Social Welfare visits to Marae. I began to be Eva Rickard again, eh? In one of the lines, you'll see it come out, my character. And sometimes I wonder if Merata wrote the story around the lives of people. Zach Wallace acts a part. And he, you know, Zach's not his real name, and he's got a double identity in the picture. So it's quite a fascinating story because I can see me in some of the lines of Kara.
The audience for this film will be Māori, will be Pākehā, will be international. There are several themes.
Māori is the essence of people and the lives of people and the strength of people. It's the strength of unity. My Māori, whatever it is, it's an intangible thing, isn't it? When I first saw the name Māori, I wondered how on earth it was going to be depicted on those machines. So somehow I hope that the Wairua Māori comes through it. And for me, this film had to happen in this time. And it's come not too late. Good, happy. It was proved in...
I had a European Pākehā education, and according to the laws of the education system at that time, Māori, our language was not spoken and taught, so I grew up with these values and looked down upon my Māori people until I came to the time when I came face to face with pain and death. I lost both my mum and dad. And there I found the sense of belonging that my Māori people wept with me and shared my grief. And I found the richness in belonging. And I was free, I was somebody. So I became a searcher for my Māoritanga and the depths that are the richness of my culture. Māori conservation laws haven't been written down, and they were natural conservationists. They did not eat and deplete all their seafoods or their beds. They protected and put a tapu on certain areas. The legal restrictions on the seafood has turned myself and a lot of my Māori people into professional thieves. And I have no reservations in admitting this. Because when we go to gather food, it's not just for ourselves, it's for our neighbour, it's for the old kuia down the road that's so old that we must share the bounty of the sea with our people. I believe the Māoris must go back to the land. To survive, they must go back and learn to live off their land, to grow the foods that are good for their bodies and their minds, and be free of all the hang-ups they have trying to battle to make ends meet. Well, I believe in this house of learning the women wouldn't be tied down to the children. Some of the old women would probably be happy to stay there. So they would share the children, and the men would have to share the children. Because we believe that the Māori woman needs her freedom. She needs to go out, not to social clubs, but out hunting, fishing, being close to nature, and finding who she is, and being free. This is the thing about the house of learning, the place of learning, and about hunting and fishing for the Māori people, that they are free. The Māori women in my community are strong. They're taking a leading role in the community and building a Māoritanga society that is good, healthy and strong for the future generations. It would be important, before all our old people die, to establish this wharewananga before they die, and they can teach us our history. The Māori women in the city need to be made aware that the Māori culture they know is just but a small part of our culture. It's not just the poi dance or the action song or the haka, it's more than that. And with the wharewananga that we are visualizing in Raglan, women will play a major role with the men. And I am sure it's been long overdue.
Yes, there's some of my sisters are working in a rural situation, and to these sisters I give every support. But the fact of the matter is that we're living in the cities now, we have to face daily problems in the cities, and this is where I want to work.
For a while I felt that we were going around circles and finding no direction.